Karolien Leavitt had a meltdown for the MAGA history books. Wild claims, fake fans, and more spin than a Fox News highlight reel. But before she completely unravels on live TV, let's rewind to what kicked it all off. Because Trump's so-called big beautiful budget is causing chaos. Even his billionaire bestie, Elon Musk, is dragging it. And when Elon turns on you, yeah, things are about to get messy.
I was disappointed to see the massive spending bill, frankly. Which increases the budget deficit, doesn't decrease it, and undermines the work that the Doge team is doing.
I actually thought that when this big, beautiful bill came along, everything he's done on Doge gets wiped out in the first year.
I think a bill can be big, or it can be beautiful. But I don't know if it could be both.
When Elon Musk, the billionaire tax break magnate himself, is out here dragging a bill that literally shovels money into his pocket, you know Trump's plan is in flames. This bill is basically a love letter to Elon's companies, and even he's roasting it. That's like a chef spitting out his own meal. And it's not just Elon. MAGA loyalists like Rand Paul and even Ron, oops, a fact slipped out Johnson, are slamming it. They're warning it'll wreck the budget for decades and rip healthcare from millions. Total disaster. And now, because the bill is indefensible, Karolien Leavitt is doing what Trump world does best, inventing fake people to praise it. Yep, she made up supporters and somehow said it with a straight face. Just watch.
There is good news today. Consumer confidence hit a record high, and also the highly respected pollster Matt Rasmussen showed that the majority of Americans view our country as heading on the right track under President Trump. This is a stark contrast to what that same polling showed under the previous disastrous administration led by Joe Biden. As for the trade talks, since you mentioned them, I was just going back and forth with our United States Trade Representative Jamison Greer, who informed me that the Trump administration continues to be in intensive talks with India, and the president, of course, has applied very public pressure to the European Union so that they too can have a miraculous trade deal just like we cut with Britain and our friends in the United Kingdom. So we continue to move forward in cutting good deals that put the American people and the American worker first.
First off, Matt Rasmussen? That's not a person. That's not even a typo. That's a fully imagined human being. She just made up a guy to quote a poll to praise Donald Trump. At this point, the Trump team is running off fan fiction. Yes, Rasmussen is a real pollster, but Matt is a mythical creature now roaming the halls of Fox News. And here's the kicker. This isn't even new. Trump world has done this before. Remember the tariff expert who turned out to be totally fake? We are officially in season 2 of MAGA Makes Up Economists. But Karolien wasn't done. Nope, she took a hard left turn from fake people to even faker logic. And after the next clip, the crazy meltdown is following.
And the president is more interested in giving that taxpayer money to trade schools and programs in state schools where they are promoting American values, but most importantly, educating the next generation based on skills that we need in our economy and our society. Apprenticeships, electricians, plumbers. We need more of those in our country and less LGBTQ graduate majors from Harvard University. And that's what this administration's position is. And we also are not going to tolerate the illegal, criminal, anti-Semitic behavior that we saw take place at Harvard and many other college campuses across the country.
Oh, I see. So now Trump is cutting education funding to protect America from a dangerous wave of gay Harvard graduates with liberal arts degrees? Really? That's the supervillain origin story now. Not corporate monopolies, not broken wages, not crumbling infrastructure, but a queer sociology major from Cambridge? This isn't economic strategy. This is Mad Libs with fascist energy and a splash of right-wing fever dream. They say they care about workers. Meanwhile, they're busy shipping jobs overseas, busting unions, slashing protections, and handing tax breaks to billionaires like Elon Musk, who turns around and complains anyway. And now they're using Harvard as a boogeyman, while quietly rerouting that public money to their richest donors, not to help working families, to bankroll another billionaire space vanity project. So yeah, sure, let's all pretend this is an investment in the working class, because nothing says blue-collar revival like attacking higher education and giving Elon another yacht. But this isn't just bad policy, it's a full-blown distraction strategy. They're losing the narrative, they know it, and they're trying anything to change the subject. And that panic, it hit level 10 meltdown mode the second Karolien Leavitt opened her mouth about Joe Biden. Just watch this meltdown.
It seems like the administration is going back and getting to the bottom of some unfinished business.
Yes, all of those announcements coming from the FBI, Kash Patel, and of course our great Attorney General Pam Bondi, who is committed to the truth, Sean, just like President Trump and his entire administration, and committed to an unprecedented level of access and transparency that is led by President Trump at the White House every day. He takes questions from the press. He talks directly and honestly and candidly about the problems and the challenges he is solving, not just here at home, but also abroad. And he's demanding answers. And one of the things he is going to continue to push for answers on is who the heck was running the country over the past 4 years. And you just talked about it in your monologue, and I'm glad to hear it, because this is truly the greatest political scandal our country has ever seen.
Oh, wow. Karolien Leavitt is in full dramatic overdrive. She's acting like Trump is on some kind of truth-seeking crusade, marching through the halls of the White House with a flashlight asking, who's been secretly running America? I mean, we all saw the election, right? It's not an unsolved mystery. It's called Joe Biden won. And now Trump's being described as a model of transparency? This is the same guy who treated press briefings like hostage videos and answered questions like a magic 8-ball having a nervous breakdown. And the supporting cast, Kash Patel and Pam Bondi, the dollar store Avengers of MAGA politics. You don't call these two when you want answers. You call them when you want a loud distraction and a Fox News segment. But here's the thing, Karolien isn't calming down. She's ramping up, and trust me, the next clip, the meltdown, hits a whole new level. You've got to see it to believe it.
We had unelected, radical left White House staffers who nobody knew their names running the most powerful country in the history of the world, and the Democrat Party was in a complete alliance to cover it up, and the mainstream media was right along with them. They were asking Joe Biden what his favorite ice cream was, rather than asking him whether or not he was suited to run the country. And so we need answers on what took place over the past 4 years, because look at the consequences of having these unelected radical left-wing staffers in the West Wing running the country.
Okay, now Karolien's yelling about mysterious leftist shadow agents secretly running the country, like we're all living inside a rejected script from House of Cards meets Scooby-Doo. Apparently, the real threat to America wasn't climate change, rising costs, or Trump selling NFTs. No, it was unnamed interns with gender studies degrees quietly plotting a coup in the West Wing. Sure, that makes sense. And let's talk about the media distraction thing. They're mad Biden was asked about ice cream, while Donald Trump was out here rambling about West Point ramps, misspelling coffee, and holding press conferences where he literally told people to inject bleach. But yes, clearly Joe Biden's brain is the problem. Also, do they realize Joe Biden isn't currently the president? Because half of this rant sounds like Trump still thinks he's running against him in 2020. We're told this is Joe Biden's economy, but also Trump's big comeback. It's like they're playing political Mad Libs with no idea who's actually in charge. But here's the best part. Right when it looked like Trump's people couldn't fumble the bag any harder, one of them did, spectacularly, because next up is a border security moment so bad, it turned into a full-blown live TV faceplant, and it came courtesy of Trump's own guy, Tom Homan. Just wait for this. But before we show you the next clip, leave a subscription, it would mean a lot to us. But now, back to the video.
No, it's investigations, but the fact that so many in these first 110 days, some of them which are announced on social media or other avenues before the defendants or even read their rights and given information, raises the question that it looks like to some that this is political targeting. The ACLU says it's autocratic targeting. And you respond tonight by saying, well, they did it. The Democrats did it. Well, if they did it, that's your view. Does that make it okay? That's what I'm asking.
I said, wait a minute. I said I find it shocking that they would accuse the Trump administration of weaponizing against their opponents when they did the exact thing during the Biden administration. I'm not making any comparison. I'm just saying I find it shocking for them to make that claim when they did it for 4 years. I'm not making any claim we're weaponizing anything. I don't think President Trump's weaponizing anything against his political opponents. We're enforcing the law. We're investigating crimes. If there's evidence that a crime has been acted upon, then they need to be charged. No one's. In the last 4 years, we heard no one's above the law. We're either our members of Congress, either our judges, and either our other people. You cross the line, you violate the law, you should be indicted. You should be charged.
Oh, that was a whole lot of stammering to say. We're not weaponizing the law. We're just using it very aggressively on our enemies, but totally normally. Tom Homan is trying so hard to walk the tightrope, but he's wobbling like Trump on a windy golf course. He starts by saying it's not political, then immediately brings up Biden and the Democrats like he's reading from a MAGA group chat. It's classic deflection, classic confusion, and classic I wasn't prepared for Ari Melber. And the best part, Melber's not even close to done yet.
So I know you brought up Congresswoman Kyber. I said I'd give you time on that. The reports here are that part of the narrative about her has been, quote, contradicted by the video footage and witnesses who were at the scene. It was a scuffle. That's on video. She says it's intimidation. I know you have said that she was, quote, unprofessional. And people in public life can agree or disagree on who in whichever branch of government are professional. But does it concern you that someone who in a co-equal branch is supposed to oversee ICE, I'm sure you don't deny her elected authority to do that along with every other member of Congress in both parties, does it concern you that now it looks like, according to her lawyers, that the law enforcement agencies are trying to intimidate her out of that enforcement? And do you really think the video suggests that she was physically assaulting and battering armed agents? Because it looks more like a kind of out-of-control scuffle.
She claims she was there on oversight. We open facilities of oversight every day across this country. There are, all you have to do is show up to the facility in a professional manner and request a visit. Go through screening and go see it. We are proud of that facility. I want everybody to go look at it. Maybe all the false narrative will stop about how ICE's detention standards are just so terrible. But she shoved an officer, she put hands on her officer. That's unacceptable. These ICE officers, and when you cause a ruckus like that, then that makes that facility unsecure, because officers who should be dealing with the prisoners, very serious prisoners, criminals in that facility, they're dealing with the ruckus outside. It makes the facility unsafe. It's unsafe for the officers, and it's unsafe for the general public. We take the security of those facilities very seriously. She knows how to do oversight. You go there and request to look at it. Don't barge your way in, and regardless of what happens, you don't put hands. And you don't shove an ICE officer who's there to protect the facility and protect the public from the people in that facility.
You think DOJ will win that case?
Now that was a great question from Ari Melber. He laid it all out. The footage, the context, the legal concerns, and even tossed Holman a lifeline. Do you really think she assaulted armed officers? And what did we get in response? A word salad of ruckus, hands, unsecure, and a long monologue about facility tours like this is an episode of Ice Cribs. Holman's tone? Serious. His logic? Somewhere in detention. And that big question about whether DOJ will win the case? Oh yeah. Great question in this situation. And the answer coming up? Not so great.
What I saw, I think she put hands on an officer. She shoved an officer. She needs to pay the consequences. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, they dropped the one.
I spent 40 years doing this.
No, I know you have experience.
This is the same week. We're in the same. No, we're in the same week. We're in New York. We're in Washington D.C. Supporting the men and women, law enforcement, state, local, and federal, who gave the ultimate sacrifice. It was Law Enforcement Week, Police Week. I attended memorials for Border Patrol and ICE. I buried Border Patrol agents. I buried ICE agents. And I met with many families of fallen officers from federal, state, and local law enforcement. A week we're supposed to celebrate law enforcement. We got a member of Congress putting her hands on one at a facility.
All right, well,
very unprofessional conduct.
I said I'd give you time on that.
The mayor showed up for one reason.
Okay.
He wanted press time. He got it.
And there it is. The Oscar-worthy meltdown from Tom Homan. He's going full monologue mode now, invoking Police Week, memorials, burials, and somehow tying it all back to a congresswoman in a hallway scuffle. This isn't an argument. It's a dramatic reading from Law and Order, ICE Victims Unit. Homan says she needs to pay the consequences, like he's sentencing her himself, then shifts gears into a tribute speech, which, respectfully, has nothing to do with whether or not the DOJ actually has a case. Also, did he really say Merrick Garland showed up just for press time? Merrick, the man delivers speeches with the same energy as a beige filing cabinet. This whole rant is just a classic MAGA play. Drum up emotion, dodge the question, and blame someone else for what's clearly falling apart under their own leadership. The Law and Order defense only works when you're actually following the law, and lately, Trump's team has been, well, not exactly doing that. Which brings us to our next video. Here you can find another interesting topic about Trump and his team. You seriously don't want to miss what they did next. Click on it.